Well, howdy, y'all. It is that time of year for Farmer Wants a Wife. And I got some initial thoughts about these farmers that I'd love to share with you. And again, these are just my opinions. I don't mean to be mean, rude. These are just observations I've made. And you guys can watch the latest season of Farmer Wants a Wife now on Fox. So last week we got introduced to our four farmers, and let's just start from the top. Okay, Farmer Matt. Let's talk about it. Okay, so he's about 30 years old, and let's state the obvious: this man is so handsome. Like top to bottom, super handsome. He's got the scruff on his face. He's got the muscles working for him. I mean, they really wouldn't cast any, let's say, less than a 10, I guess, farmer. But Matt, okay, so, and I've got my notes down here, so if you see me looking down, that's all I'm doing. First note I have is very attractive, scruffy face. He did not grow up a farmer, and farming is new to him. So he basically is helping out his brother and sister-in-law, which I think speaks volumes just already about his character. Backstory, his sister-in-law's family, mom and dad, unexpectedly died, and they owned the farm. And so brother, sister-in-law, and Matt came in. It's an avocado farm along with some fruits. So him stepping up in a time of like dire need, I think speaks volumes, like I said, about his character. I think that shows initiative, trustworthiness. He's going to be there at your worst, and hopefully he will be there at your best. Just from the outside looking in, I think this farmer is much of a pretty boy. You know, he's in California. He's not too far from the beach, but he's also, working on the farm. So I'm not sure, having lived in California, and again, my opinions, solely my opinions, having lived in California, you can meet a lot of people that you think have good intentions, but in the end might be looking out for number one, as in themselves. So I'm a little leery of Matt as of right now. I want to, obviously, we're going to get to know him throughout the next, this season. I just think, with the whole farming thing being new to him, it might be too much to add a female into the mix, especially a female that maybe doesn't live in California, is not a resident of the state, doing the long distance, which we've seen in the past with farmers and their potential wives. Distance is such a deal breaker, if you will. So I think overall, Matt is, gonna put his best foot forward. But I think because he's so new to farming, it might just be a little difficult to juggle all the things, So we'll wait and see. But he is easy on the eyes, let me tell you. Okay, let's go to our second farmer, who is Jay. Now, he actually bought his granddaddy's farm after retiring from football. He played college football at Alabama, or in Alabama. So already we know he's got some brute strength. Always good, especially when you're a farmer. He bought the farm from his granddaddy, which, again, initiative. He wants to keep it in the family. So family seems very important to him. He wants to carry on a legacy, maybe make, a name for his family. So already right there, that tells me family is of the utmost importance. And when family is number one, that typically means you have a very, very big heart. You care a lot, you care deeply, and you care hard for people. Again, looks-wise, very attractive, very cute. I see he's got a little sense of humor has peaked out since, since the start of this season, which has only been one episode. But I will say, after going through the girls and seeing his pics, I think he might be easily persuaded or easily swayed by scantily clad women. And if you haven't watched the first episode yet, you'll see what I'm talking about. But, that could be a little sway for him. Scantily clad, beautiful women could maybe get in the way of him deciphering what is true love versus what's true lust. And again, I'm just saying this after watching the first episode. I could have totally different opinions come second episode, come third episode. You know what I'm saying. Just initial thoughts. What else? I like the fact, the whole college football aspect of it, commitment. That takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication. So if he is able to do that for 4 years at a high level, you know, playing in Alabama, football's huge there, regardless of what division you played. It is huge. So that, again, shows time, dedication, commitment. He's not going to be, let's just, pun intended, knocked off his feet by one or two little hurdles. Whether, that be, well, I don't know what that could be. It could be girls fighting for his attention. Maybe he does get knocked off. I don't know. But just coming from like an athletic standpoint, I don't think that he will, allow himself to be easily knocked off course, easily shaken, and kind of riled up. So Jay, I think, has a really great head on his shoulders. And again, I just love the fact that he bought the farm from his granddaddy. Okay, let's go on to Colton. He is 27, and he, again, like I said, all these farmers are going to be very good looking. It's television, it's reality TV. So Colton, very, very cute. He's 27, has been married before, and has a 2-year-old. So we're dealing with a man that has maybe, I don't know, he did not say this, but maybe scorned a little bit by love, but he's getting back on the saddle, another pun intended, to find maybe his happily ever after for the second time. First time, let's just say practice round. But he does have a child, a 2-year-old, which does complicate things. But what this tells me about him is that he is open-minded, which is very good, especially after, you've been through a tumultuous relationship. We don't really know how the divorce went. He hasn't given too much information on that, but he's open. And I think that says a lot about a person who can maybe rebound. You're not going to just shut off everything. You're going to allow yourself to love again. But also the child is a huge factor in this. And that means he's maybe got a trusting heart. If he's allowing new people to meet his 2-year-old. And at that age, it's, you're 2, so you're not crazy impressionable, but like you can get attached to someone easily. So that worries me a little bit, but we'll see at what point he introduces his sons to his group of 5 girls, whether that's all 5 of them or maybe he whittles it down to his final 2. But I think, he went through a divorce, and I forgot to take notes on his backstory of farm ownership. But regardless, Colton seems like a good old boy who is just looking for love. He is so young. So, is it maybe too soon to get back into a relationship? Maybe. Again, they didn't specify how long ago he got his divorce, but if his son's only 2, I mean, that's a short window to be married, have a child, get divorced. I mean, 2 years is a very short amount of time. So I am I guess I'm on high alert to see if he is fully ready and prepared to commit to an entirely new person, with the stress of running the farm, having a son, a 2-year-old son. Those are kind of top priority. Then the woman comes into the picture. Well, as a female, having been in several, relationships before I got married, I hated being put on the back burner. It's not a good feeling. So a little worried that maybe Colton could be biting off a little bit more than he is able to chew at this point in time. But again, let me stand corrected, Prove me wrong, Colton. I'm rooting for you. I hope you find love. Okay, our final farmer is John from St. Louis. So obviously near and dear to my heart because STL, what's up? However, John, my spidey senses are already, they're flared because He is a, sixth generation farmer, but he's also going to law school. He's living in his mom and dad's mansion, running the farm with his grandfather. There are so many, it's like a little spider web of things that I just don't know. Something in my gut when I was watching just didn't sit right. I said in my notes, literally verbatim, something behind the smile and perfect white teeth doesn't sit well with me. How much does he actually farm? Now, again, if you've seen the first episode, one of the girls came right out of the gate and was like, do you actually farm? If you haven't, I'm sorry, that too much of a spoiler, but he is asked that question, to which he responds, yes. But again, how much does he farm? If he's going to law school, that's a huge time suck. So I, again, a little trepidatious about Farmer John. Is he here for the right reasons, or is he just doing this for what we call clout, 5 seconds of fame? What are his intentions of being on this show if, again, he's helping his grandfather run the farm, going to law school, living under mommy and daddy's roof, and trying to find a wife? I mean, it's been done before, and I'm not nay-naying or poo-pooing it or anything, but I just wonder what's behind that smile. What are his true intentions? So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I think, he's got a lot of determination, which is good. So maybe that determination will turn into happily ever after for him and his future wife. Commitment. Obviously, he's committed to helping run the farm and go to law school. But where does a relationship fit in that? That's the big question. Where does the time come to then, be with your significant other? Make that relationship. What happens once the cameras are off and you're not forced into these little these vignettes of you two together having this romantical time? Like, when the cameras stop and life comes at you hard and fast, where does your time, like, when does that time to help that relationship evolve, where is that? Because there's only 24 hours in a day. And if farming is a, quote, 9 to 5 and even more job, then you have law school on top of that. I'm weary that he might just be in it for the fun of it and, get with a girl at the end of the show, but then quickly cut ties because it all became too much, which is, again, a very common theme we have seen the past few seasons that Jeremy and I have been reviewing the show. Distance, the commitment, they become a different person once the cameras stop rolling. There's so many things that could happen. And again, I want to stand corrected. Prove me wrong, farmers. These are just, again, my initial thoughts. I don't mean to be malicious or anything. This is just what I have gathered from, watching that first initial episode. And, let's let the farmers and their wives run its course this season and see where we end up. But for now, that's all I've got. Those are my initial thoughts on this season of Farmer Wants a Wife thus far. We've got a whole season ahead of us. So, again, we'll just wait and see.